Although there's a ton of hype about the Xbox 360, that doesn't mean there aren't some great games still coming for the Xbox One. Perhaps the best example of this is the Xbox version of Half-Life 2, the incredibly popular PC first-person shooter from Valve Software. And tonight, Valve founder and managing director Gabe Newell joins us live via satellite from Seattle to tell us about the release of the game. Well, Gabe, let's start with the obvious. Here you are releasing Half-Life 2 for the Xbox One the week before the 360 comes out. So the obvious question is, I mean, why not do this game for the 360?
Well, I think that we've been investing in getting the Xbox version done, and that technology is going to help us with all of our future console ports. So I think it was important to get this out into people's hands before we start thinking about the next generation.
That's cool. Now, obviously, on Friday, Microsoft announced the backwards compatibility for the 360. I'm wondering, Half-Life 2 was on that list. So how does it run on the 360? I mean, if you buy a 360, is it going to run still quite well?
Yeah, it actually runs better on the 360 than it does on the original Xbox. You get some advantages from how they're outputting and up-resing the Xbox One's game. So it looks great. Having worked on a similar project in PC operating systems, it's a really impressive feat what they were able to do with the emulator.
Yeah, the games that I've played so far run pretty well. But asking you about the 360, does it bother you, though, that, I mean, Microsoft is hyping the 360 so much and kind of effectively cutting off the Xbox at a time when, you know, Half-Life 2 is just about to ship?
I think we have really good sales forecasts for the Xbox version, and I think that customers who buy 360s are going to find that Half-Life 2 running on the Xbox 360 is a great game as well. So I think we benefit just from the general excitement and awareness of gamers right now.
Absolutely. Now, you're a smart, respected guy. Obviously, 360 is coming out next week. Your heritage is, you know, back at Microsoft. You worked there for a number of years. So I wanted to ask you your general sort of thoughts on this console war between Sony and Microsoft. Do you think Microsoft has a shot at dominating this next generation?
Well, I think there are a bunch of challenges for all of the console developers, and I'm not sure yet how well game developers are being served by this next generation. You know, one of the big challenges everybody's going to face is figuring out the multi-threading problem, and right now the jury's out on how quickly game developers are going to be able to do that. I mean, when we've looked at it, it looks pretty hard, and the benefits are really speculative at this point. Probably Naughty Dog, out of all of the game developers I've talked to, are furthest along in terms of understanding how to take advantage of it. But, you know, these benefits for these next generation platforms could take a while to mature.
So for you guys at Valve, I mean, are you going to stay focused on PC development, or are you going to actually spend the time to, you know, figure out how to program the PP and the SPEs on a PS3, for instance?
Well, I think there's some really interesting technologies we needed to develop. For example, on the Xbox, one of the challenges is getting a game that was originally targeted for 256 megabytes on a PC and get it to fit into 64 megabytes. So the specific technology we had to develop was moving away from a block-oriented and towards a streaming architecture. The reason that that's interesting and sort of fundamental technology is it's exactly the same kind of thing you want to do with a massively multiplayer online game in the PC space. So we continue to see these technologies between the PC and console as being pretty additive.
Interesting. Now, you guys have also done some cool new technology for Half-Life on the PC. There was the Lost Coast level that came out with some very cool lighting effects. But one interesting thing you did in there was a developer commentary option, which I thought was really great. Do you have plans to do that in any of your future products?
So at the end of the commentary, I asked gamers to send me email, and right now I've received about 1,500 replies from gamers who played through the Lost Coast and sent me a message. And it's all been super positive, so it's our plan to do that in all of our future projects. So like on the multiplayer side, we're working on Day of Defeat commentary now. It'll talk about strategy as well as production. So we're going to try to branch out and give people sort of multiple tracks of commentary depending upon what it is that they're interested in. But it is something that we see ourselves and probably other game developers starting to do.
Well, you spoke of future projects, so of course I got to ask you, any insight into what you guys are working on now? I know Aftermath is the add-on for Half-Life is coming out early 06 now, right?
Yeah, some of the people who are working on Aftermath were pulled into the Xbox version of Half-Life 2 at the end. So we decided to go ahead and push Aftermath out until '06. Also, Steam's going to be pretty busy. We have about a major release each month. So moving Aftermath out to next year actually saves us some angst on the bandwidth side.
So is the goal still to sort of put out Aftermath in early '06 and then kind of keep following it up with sort of further episodic content going forward?
Yeah, we have right now 3, and we're starting a 4th single-player content team. So they'll be sort of leapfrogging each other and releasing new content while the other groups are in pre-production and production.
Wow, that's very cool. So we'll see Aftermath and then potentially, I mean, just kind of more add-ons on a hopefully quarterly basis, or it's still kind of up in the air?
We're shooting for more often than that. Our goal really is to try to have something significant on a monthly basis.
All right, one final question for you, Gabe. Of course, everyone wants to know, any updates on Team Fortress 2 or Counter-Strike 2 yet?
We haven't announced anything about TF2 or Counter-Strike 2.
Soon, we hope, Gabe. Maybe '06 will be the year. All right, well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Jeff.